Hey, welcome back. I gotta get something off my chest. I'm not a Magic Doomsayer, but this year, 2023, has been a rough year for fans of Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast. And I gotta get this buildup of salt out, so I decided to make this video complaining about some of the decisions Wizards of the Coast made in 2023.
I'm gonna let you finish, but as a dungeon master, Kyle, you probably wouldn't understand we're a rarefied elite group of people. WotC has my left and right nut in a vice as they just continue to ball gag me over the course of 2023 because both my hobbies are owned by the same company and they are just intent on squeezing every last dime and every bad business practice. But the business decisions, the top 5 mistakes of 2023 have got to get aired out.
Coming in at number 5, the Pinkerton scandal from this last spring. A man by the name of Dan Cannon, a YouTuber named Old School MTG, got his hands on Aftermath before the boxes were released and spoiled them on the internet.
Allegedly, he acquired them through illegal means, but I'm not saying that. I didn't say it and Kyle didn't edit it out.
That wasn't enough for Wizards of the Coast. No. Instead of using other means to reacquire this mistaken product, they sent the Pinkertons to this man's door to reacquire the product.
This is an interesting story because I think it highlights, like, from a company perspective, truly terrible decision making, but it also is important because it really broke through to the mainstream media. Forbes and non-gaming industry publications were like, what the fuck is happening when you rock up with the Pinkertons? I mean, these guys are thugs. Like, that's what they do. They go out, they're bruisers, they're union busters. That's their job. And it's wild to show up at a freaking nerd's house and be like, give us your Magic card? How do people not get fired over that? You know, it's really just corporate negligence to do some stupid shit like that.
360 degrees around, just an absolute dumpster fire of negative reaction and negative sentiment towards WotC for this decision.
The aftermath of this event was pretty bad, but arguably the second least bad aftermath because we have a set. If you remember, it did happen. It actually was a thing. You didn't fever dream a 50-card weird set in the middle of the summer. Why did this fail so hard?
Number one is because people viewed this product as cut content from March of the Machine. This small set being released so close after March of the Machines and only being 50 cards, people viewed it as, oh, these cards could have easily been folded into March of the Machines and you chose to cut them out. So you could sell these smaller booster packs for full price when it didn't need to be 2 separate products. And it gave off greedy vibes.
Swimming in it! I love to dive around in it like a porpoise.
They're indistinguishable. Like, the only way you can tell is that you know, there's not like new mechanics or crazy stuff. There's also like a lot of commander nonsense in there. I think it's like,
oh, we just call those sets now, Mark.
Oh my god. I'm loving Ixalan, but please stop printing commander cards into my standard set. That's probably a whole video in and of itself. The idea that you're going to have like a little amuse-bouche that's going to break up the summer lull, that's not a bad idea. Random cards, I mean, maybe a core set, like a little 50-card reprint maybe in the middle of summer is a better way to approach this. But it for whatever reason, the set sold terribly. People really did not like it, and it didn't really have any impact on standard.
Well, cards being released so close to each other does bring us to number 3 on the list, the absolute jam-packed release schedule. It is difficult to overstate how many different product lines, I'll put some of them up on the screen, released in the year 2023 all the way through. And to give a current example, if you look at the release of Lord of the Rings into Doctor Who, into Wilds of Eldraine, into like Fallout spoilers, into Ixalan spoilers, we are never, ever outside of spoiler seasons. And it just gets exhausting.
It's not just a meme or a moan. It's like, it's a real actual problem when you can't go 3 weeks between like major releases. You know, like, so for example, we're just talking March of the Machine came out on April 21st. Aftermath came out on May 12th. That's like 3 weeks difference. And then right after that, like less than a month, or just, sorry, a little over a month, on June 23rd, we had Lord of the Rings come out. You know, in August, Commander Masters, and it's literally like 4 weeks on average, there's a new product. And your brain can't keep up with this shit. Like, there's just no way that you can keep up with this onslaught. And the problem is, WotC's always approached it, well, hey, you know, every product's not for everyone. Some of this stuff is like, you know, the Doctor Who Commander decks, those are for Doctor Who fans, or those are for Commander players, right? Which is kind of everybody at this point. The idea is just, you know, oh, just don't buy it. But the point is, it all just becomes this weird gush of content, and I don't know where to get hyped. I don't know where to pay attention, and we freaking have a Magic the Gathering channel, and I'm still looking at some of this stuff being like, what? I'm trying to what was Commander Masters? I remember it vaguely like it was a dream, but I can't really pinpoint what some of this stuff even is. And this isn't from a million years ago. This is from 2 months ago.
I'm going to be honest. When you were talking about Commander's Masters, I thought it was the Baldur's Gate thing, and I realized that was a separate product.
Side note, they really kind of biffed the timing on that one. When you're releasing a Baldur's Gate set and it came out in 2022.
Oops.
Oh, man. Whoops.
Yeah. You can't get hyped if there's no lull. There cannot be rising action without the fall, and there's just no time for any of these products to breathe. As a guy who's a huge fan of Fallout 1 and 2 and New Vegas, the actual Fallout games, come at me, the internet, 3 and 4 suck. I'm a huge Fallout fan. I have probably thousands of hours in Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, and I just don't have the time or attention to care about these new spoilers.
I mean, I want to know what a Deathclaw is, but I'm watching Ixalan spoilers. What am I supposed to... I'm going to watch 2 spoiler seasons at once? This is no good. I think it's, it has a market impact. So we're talking about release schedules and, it's business or whatever.
It's not personal. It's just business.
Maybe the most important thing to, the actual game on the table, right? Magic the Gathering is Wizards' major decision to shake up Standard. They have implemented the 3-year rotation. Is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? I mean, there's definitely pros and cons. We've discussed it a lot. I think there's obviously a need to shake up Standard. People have been complaining about Standard for quite some time. With the rise of Commander and the fall of Standard, you got to do something drastic. And so you can print better cards or, stop things from getting out of control. There's lots of different ways to approach it. This is a dramatic way, and so kudos for trying something. But I was incredibly disappointed. Like most people, when we get to the post-normal rotation period, and we're still looking at Wandering Emperor, we're still looking at Shieldred, we're still looking at all these cards and thinking, wow, I guess we're just going to be looking at these for another year now, because that's just what's going to happen, I guess. Why?
Wizards' failure to ban, and I'm not even mad about Shelly. This is not the ban Shelly portion of the video. But their failure to ban cards that should have rotated out, increasing their life cycle for another year. I'm talking about cards that are ubiquitous. The Wandering Emperor, Wedding Announcement. Cards that have had their time in the sun and continue to dominate Standard in the fall of 2023. This rotation period that was supposed to happen in the fall was the perfect time to bring out the ban. Nobody was going to be mad that you banned the Wandering Emperor. We had 2 years of playing it. But now we know every time they have 4 mana up with 2 white, we know what's going to happen. It becomes exhausting. And I don't understand why Wizards didn't do something so obviously in front of them and chose to turn left and step on a rake.
It's a worrying precedent, right? Because I think we really expected, and we're basically told, whenever they announced the 3-year decision, that they were going to do this. I feel like it was a real bait and switch, that they were going to, take a look and, that kind of always the soft ban language. They don't want to be tied into anything. Take a look and ban cards that are, too out there. And it just feels like it never happened. And there are so many cards where, like you said, we're just sick of seeing them. There's a reason why rotation happens. It's because eventually you're tired of playing with the same old cards and we need that life. I think the 3-year rotation is really good for the jank, right? Give us more tribal opportunities. Give us more weird combo decks. That is a really good reason to have a 3-year rotation. But to have the same cards dominating Standard, I'm really going to be interested to see how Ixalan does, right? Woe kind of affected Standard. A few cards here and there slotted in, but the same decks.
Okay, and that brings us to the end of our list. There's no need to talk about a game where a bunch of sweaty nerds sat around a table playing pretend. There's no need to talk about... Oh, Mark, did you have something for this?
Excuse me, sir. We are artists in the Dungeons and Dragons community. I'll have you know for a fact.
Are you not?
Yeah, probably. No, this is something that kind of on the scale of the Pinkertons really broke through in January, and you can
this
just
was
see
10 times the size of the Pinkertons.
Yeah, it was a big old problem. And we're not going to litigate the whole thing, but basically the OGL, the Open Game License, was D&D's olive branch to third-party creators and allowed third-party creators essentially to use Dungeons & Dragons stuff, their IP, their rule set, all these things, and make good stuff for the game. So like someone's going to publish an adventure or a new class or whatever, and they're going to use the D&D 5e system, and they're going to, kind of be those third-party folks. And this has created a really rich environment. It's also incredibly successful for the game. Critical Role is a huge popular show. They basically are free marketing for Dungeons and Dragons. And there's so many good things. Not arguably, I think objectively, the stuff that third-party content creators make by dint of talent and by dint of scale is just better. Far better than the stuff that WotC makes. It's not even close. And so to yank that away from people when they feel like their best friends on the internet, their internet friends are being mistreated, holy shit, it was a disaster. An unmitigated clusterfuck.
The other truly mind-boggling fact about this is not something that merely killed goodwill in the community or that failed to generate revenue. When Wizards of the Coast went down this path to try to take this money from content creators, people like Critical Role started making their own competitor tabletop RPG. It's not an exaggeration to say that for a lot of people, Critical Role is way bigger than Dungeons and Dragons. Then you also have companies like MCDM and the people, Matt Daddy and the folks over there who are fantastic game designers. Everything they make for Dungeons and Dragons is orders of magnitude better than anything you're going to find in a Wizards of the Coast product. These people and many, many other people like them realized they can't rely on Wizards of the Coast as a revenue stream, so they've either switched to Pathfinder or they've decided to make a competitor to Dungeons and Dragons, essentially having the dramatic opposite effect of what Wizards of the Coast was trying to achieve. Truly staggering.
They made their own competitor, and they're gonna do it again. It's not about like, oh, corporate greed gonna be greeding or whatever. It's scary because like there's nobody at the helm, man. It's not that people are greedy. I mean, that's given. It's that they're just incompetent. It's just bad. I don't know what's happening, and it's worrying because the stewards of these things that I love are just lunging from bad decision to bad decision over the course of 2023. It is not unsalvageable, right? Like there is reason to think that this can get back on board. We can make the right decisions. We can do the right things. There are lots of great people that work in these companies. But after 2023 and all the shit that we just listed, you just got to prove it to me, right? There's no goodwill left for either of these things and for Hasbro in general. It's kind of like, man, look at your share price.
Well, this is our list, but it's probably not your list. So let us know what your top 5 worst WotC decisions to be in the comments below. And better yet, instead of just being a negative Nancy, let us know how you would fix them, because we didn't propose a bunch of solutions other than don't do these things.
I'm hopeful for 2024. This is not a mystery, like we said, with the share price being as low as it is. They know their livelihood depends on it, so they are well motivated to get this shit fixed. We just got to hope for the best, because at the end of the day, players like us, we don't care what the share price is. All we want to do is play games and have fun with each other. That's what this channel is all about. But it's kind of come to a point at the end of the year here where we just felt like we need to take a break from playing some games and just get this off our chest, because it's something that we talk a lot about. So if you've got some comments, like Kyle said, hit us up in the comment section. We'll have a conversation about it. And we'll all just hope that, we can go back to playing Magic, because Magic is fun.